It's shining bright on the South Ariato Marine Protected Area, and today I am heading out with the expedition of the Maldives Whale Shark Research Program to get a better understanding of their work. The South Ariato Marine Protected Area, or SAMPA, is the area surrounding the northwestern tip of the reef crest of Rangali up to the northeastern tip of Digura, the boundary extending 1 kilometer seaward from the epipelagic reef fringe. But what is so special about this area that attracts an abundance of whale sharks? Researchers and marine biologists are still stunned by this phenomenon, and a decisive conclusion is yet to be derived. I posed this question to Richard himself, and he too seemed to be intrigued.
There's something unique about this area that's attracting them. There's certain features that are unusual perhaps here, but not necessarily unique. In the Maldives, certainly, where we have a large shallow reef shelf outside of Mamagili Beru and up past Benfushi. A large reef shelf where they seem to like to come up onto the reef shelf and swim around. Makes it great. It's great for us because it makes it easy to spot them against the light background. And from the tagging, we know that they're constantly sounding up and down. So perhaps this area has a nice combination of shallow water and deep water with the Ariadu Channel. Whether that's to do with feeding, the sharks are constantly moving up and down in the water column to feed on the different layers. That's possible. The other one might be that actually, because they're diving so deep, the water is very cold down there. They're diving to depths where the temperature is about 3 or 4 degrees Celsius. So incredibly cold. So maybe actually it's thermoregulating, so trying to warm up by being near the surface in this area. There are two possibilities. It would be a lot clearer if every time we saw whale sharks here they were feeding. That would be a lot clearer. Then, okay, sure, well, this is probably to do with them feeding, but actually what you find is they're often just cruising along the reef, not feeding. So, a bit of a mystery, not the only one.
The natural surroundings of this area is not the only strange fact about the South Ariato. From among the 170 odd whale sharks recorded in this area since the inception of the project, there seemed to be an imbalance in gender and the age of whale shark populations which frequent the area.
Well, we have quite an unusual situation here in that we have a population of whale sharks that's almost entirely male. And I say population with a small p because actually what this probably means is this is just a part of the population. Because what we have here is not viable in that we have on our register 171 different whale sharks and only 7 of those are female. So this is not a viable population. It's a big question then, where are the females? Where are the mature sharks? Because also the sharks here are all juvenile. They're not a mating group of animals. So I guess that's an interesting finding, but also probably an interesting, more interesting thing is a bigger question that involves. The other thing that we found is that through some tagging work that we did back in 2008, 2009, actually the whale sharks here are constantly moving throughout the Maldives. So a lot of people would think, okay, well, if you want to see whale sharks, they're in South Ari, and they're nowhere else in the Maldives. But actually, they're all throughout the Maldives. It's just how much they come to the surface. Here in South Ari, they come to the surface for longer than anywhere else, it appears at this point. So the sharks are moving constantly around the archipelago. They're also moving constantly vertically, so they're going up and down between about 50 and 200 meters. And then occasionally, they just go maybe 1,600 meters down and come straight back up, and we have no idea why that is. And also when they're moving around the archipelago, every now and again they will just shoot off for thousands of miles up to the Laccadives off India, all the way across to the Arabian Gulf, down to the Chagos Islands. But the same thing happens every time. They keep coming back, not just to the Maldives, but just to South Ari as well. So there's some really interesting findings there. actually probably just asks bigger questions than it does answer anything, but there were some interesting findings.
With the interactions I had with the local communities of this area, particularly the students and teachers of Digura, Femfushi and Dangeti, I noticed that they had plenty of knowledge about the whale sharks itself, but unfortunately they had not yet grasped the significance of their outlying reef fringe. Richard believes that this is due to the fact that the MPA still only exists on paper and the implementation and management of the regulations made specifically for this region is yet to be adopted. This is something he fears very much, as this unique region with its many mysteries should not only be a place of marvel on paper. Richard says this is something that needs to happen from the people of the region itself.
What needs to happen is something similar to what happened in Bar Atoll with Hanafaru. Not in terms of the rules, because this is a very different area, but in terms of the community participation in the development of the marine protected area. So the important thing is that in what we're doing here with the marine protected area, what the government are doing, what the atoll councils are doing here, is they're implementing change, and in order for that to be successful, then the communities really need to sort of own it, feel like they are part of that, and to participate all the way through that process. And at the moment that hasn't happened, but at the same time it hasn't happened, nothing has happened yet. So there's still an opportunity to start from scratch a little bit. In a sense, it might seem we're working backwards, but I think there's still an opportunity to come in and work with the local communities from the ground up, so that they understand not just what a marine protected area is, but also what the benefits to them of a marine protected area, and that they get some say in how it is managed.
South Ariatoll has always been a famous spot among Maldivians with its association of whale sharks, and until the ban on whale shark hunting in the early 80s, the region was the biggest supplier of whale shark oil, which was used to prolong the life of fishing vessels. The old folk from the region has a vast knowledge on whale sharks, and integrating this knowledge base into the Maldivian whale shark research is key.
Yeah, I think as I mentioned, there's sort of there's certain things that when we first got here, the fishermen taught us about how to find the whale sharks, where to find them, at what time of the tide, what time of the day. Simple things like, if you're going to look for a whale shark, you need to have the sun behind you, or that seemed very obvious to them, but when we got here, we were just starting out and didn't know all these things. So they helped us an enormous amount, and there's a lot more to learn as well, in terms of there's some very sort of interesting currents in the water, upwellings of nutrients and things that the fishermen are very aware of, but they're very localized to the areas that they work in, that we just haven't begun to understand yet, and they can definitely help us with. So the more time we spend with fishermen, the better.
This sharing of knowledge between the local communities is not only key to the understanding of the behavior of these gentle giants, it also has a huge economical value to the fishing industry of the Maldives. In recent times, with the change of the fishing methods used in the Maldives, fishermen in areas where whale sharks frequent has noticed that whale shark interference with their bait. A lot of the time, this interference is regarded as harassment for the livelihoods of the people, and a sustainable solution for this is imminent. This is the sort of partnership the whale shark research is hoping for, and currently they are developing sustainable solutions for the problem down south in Huadu Atoll region.
One of the things that they're very interested in, the fishermen are very interested in asking us, is what would be an effective deterrent? What would keep the whale sharks away from the bait, so that they can save the money they're losing through the whale shark taking their bait or damaging their nets or things like that, which we think is a fantastic opportunity to help with with a problem that they have, provide a solution to both their problem and also to the problem of sort of having to keep these whale sharks away, which probably is not so good for the whale sharks either. So I think that's a really good win-win project if we can make it work.
Feeling the roots of time. Watch the sky go by to the rhythm of the air, ripping your sanity away, leaving holes in your mouth.
I left Conrad Maldives early in the morning on the expedition boat, and if luck is with us today, we would be able to spot one of the young whale sharks that frequent the region. As we head out from Rangali off to Mamigiliberu, Richard explained to me the process and what we are about to do.
So just to give you an idea of how it works, is basically myself and Jim will be on the roof. We'll be spotting for the whale shark. When one of us sees the whale shark, the other one will get in the water, swim out to the shark, and put their hand up as soon as they see the shark in the water. We'll also at that point probably do a little bit of a signal to show which direction the whale shark is traveling. The reason we do that is because what we aim to do is we try to get the boat up ahead of the shark as far as possible. So that if the shark is moving in this direction, it actually swims towards you rather than you having to swim after the whale shark.
Joining me on the expedition along Richard and James is Dr. Patrick from CMAC and the two Maldivian volunteers currently at the program, Rifai and Mohammed. It's a great thing they joined us today, and we get to see the role of volunteers as well as what the scope of this project has for local youth. Mohammed being a biology student and Rifai a marine biology graduate, this is a great experience for them in laying the foundation of their service to the nation. As we reached the Mamigili Faru, the speedboat reduced speed and the team positioned themselves on the top of the roof and at the tip of the boat so they can clearly spot these whale sharks. As Richard explained before, spotting whale sharks is the easiest, facing away from the sun. But how do you spot for whale sharks? Well, it's pretty simple. Just have a keen eye for large moving shadows on the ocean. It takes a bit of practice, and it is a pretty tiresome job standing on the boat for hours and hours with a sharp eye for large moving shadows. But it can be fun as well. Rifai and Mohammed says, apart from spotting whale sharks, they also collect an array of other information while on the expedition boat.
I haven't collected megafauna data, so any turtles, whales.
Bigger than 1 meter wedge.
Yes, I can actually in position actually not good. Then kita vessels stole any, kita minta vessels stole any, konkahala vessel to. Then collect any.
Then whale shark furniture collect kula data. Then we have one basic data adi me collect kula indo. We have badani photo ID and ID photo and to ege side on. Then me measurement and nagafa. Feeding it to to bada then if end up GPS position if I go to get like physical conditions so badge speed and college.
Today, I also got to enjoy a school of spinner dolphins dancing away in the sun and a few sea turtles along the way. But of course, the highlight of the trip was finally spotting a whale shark after hours and hours of slowly riding along the edge of the MPA. It was Jim who was the first to spot today's shark, and as soon as we saw it, everyone hurried to get out their already prepped equipment and jump into the sea.
We've got the shark just over there.
I too followed Jim and Richard's instructions and jumped to swim closely with the lurking shadow not too far away from the boat. Like Richard explained to us, some of these whale sharks at the region have the tendency to swim vertically up and down the channel, so by the time I reached the spot, it was already making its way down the channel. But hey, I'm really lucky to have seen and swum so close to the biggest fish on earth. As much as an adrenaline rush that was, keeping in mind the data necessary for the research is whale shark, especially on such short encounters. As we got back into the boat, Jim was ready to log the data.
Yeah, I don't think I did. Did you?
While it's still fresh in your head.
So that was a small male.
Male?
Yep.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure it was Fernando.
Fernando.
So number 71.
Sorry.
So he's traveling. Oh, sorry. What do you want?
Okay, so any measurement?
Yeah, we got an estimate and a laser measurement. So estimate would be about 6 meters.
Now this has got to be one of the most fun experiences I've had while filming yours naturally. With that buzz of adrenaline still kicking inside me, I could imagine how much fun the volunteers must have each day as they get to come out and do this for a day job. But Rifai and Mohammed says there are real slow days at work too. Some days they hardly see anything surface in the MPA, but they had designed a way to make these days fun too.
Vai dostu me matin nu fanichiam. Tem harung faboni fata rope gellige tracks no ko kurene fa. Intige idin fenete bane by far much nasis kustanechi haruna matin fenna isafta. Cian tidin fenete bavane.
30 minutes so miyoko. Yo maja coming ane. Boat wala madmodun daane ko hiwan wala baala daane.
A fun experience, a great cause, and a vital knowledge base for the sustainable protection of our many Maldivian ecosystems and its fauna. What does the future hold for the Maldives whale shark research? Growing strong for 5 years now, I was sure it would have faced many challenges in its work.
Challenges we face are, honestly primarily financial, because there's so much more work to be done, and we just would love to have the resources to do more. And what I mean by that is that we're at the moment very sort of happy to be working in this area because it is probably the primary area for whale sharks in the Maldives. But there are other areas. I mentioned about the whale sharks that are being seen around the light pools, the fishermen. There's other areas where whale sharks are coming to the surface, and we'd love to be able to get to see them and expand our research throughout the Maldives. So that's probably the main challenge we face. We also have, I think, another, I wouldn't say it's a challenge, but it's a good challenge in that we're looking to encourage Maldivian nationals to come and join the program. It is our goal and always has been to be a Maldivian-run research program. And we see very much now that this is the transition period, that we would like to be training up Maldivians to be doing the work we are.
But with these challenges too, Richard and his team has a vision, a powerful vision for the program and the people of the region.
I think it's quite simple, really. My vision has always been very simple for it, in that I would like it to be a Maldivian-run research program that A, continues to conduct research on the whale sharks, but B, and probably sort of in 5 years' time, I'd like to see this sort of increase as well as sort of foster community participation in conservation initiatives that, not just for the whale shark, because the whale shark is just one member of this ecosystem. It's a very powerful one because it attracts a lot of attention. But I would like to see lots of community participation in the management of this area, but not just this area either. Let's not restrict it to this area. It's throughout the Maldives. In 5 years' time, and I hope we're still based out of Conrad as well, because it's a fantastic place to work, and you know that they've provided an enormous amount of support over the years and kept us going through some tough times. So it's a relationship we'd like to keep going to.
Steals you off your crown, fall like gravestones, drenched in the colors of them, in the battle of myself, and ignorance is bliss in the present.